But what we also did is, do you remember? You had amazing friends. When I first came here, and I remember when Uwe, Joel, and I we played the opening of the new factory, and there was a man that I thought was so fascinating. His name was Oki Adams,
Okay, Adams, yes.
and so Oki Adams, he was already around when Stelling started out here, and you worked, with Stelling, with Jeff. And you told me stories about him, how he would find oil and how he would find pennies under cups. And he was just this amazing, intuitive, spiritual, guy who also made the banjo for Merle Watson that I actually then got to play. Doc Watson showed it to me and he talked about very highly of Oki Adams. Now, Oki always said, oh, all these banjo necks are way too thin. Banjo necks they need to be, thicker, need to be something. And, and I played several, banjos that had thicker necks, and I kind of liked them. And I thought, well, if we do the Saratoga, if we introduce something very new, it also has to feel different. It's like when you talk about Stratocasters in those days, or Telecasters in particular. People say, oh, the early '50s Stratocasters, the Telecasters, they had huge necks, right? And they loved these big fat necks, And I thought, why don't we just go ahead and just take the risk and just shock the market a little bit with something that is really not just tone-wise, but really also from the neck shape, just go in another direction and just make it really thick and really make it, because if you look at Edgar Meyer playing bass, he's playing a huge neck, right? I mean, and he's playing with very thick strings. He's playing as fast as anybody would ever play on a banjo, right? So the neck shape itself is not making anything fast. It's a getting used to and the feeling of how it is, And so I thought, okay, let's do that. And Oki actually was one that inspired me also, to go to just try with a different neck shape. And what astounded me and was what made me so happy is that Janet and you just said, let's do it. Let's go for it. Let's make something that's different. So we lightened the flange, made the holes bigger, and made the resonator deeper. We put that lighter tone ring in there, and we got the inlays. We made the neck thicker, and here we were, palm at NAMM show. We had here was a new banjo, and I think that was the beginning. That was really the beginning for me because I went, you gave me number two, you have number one of the Saratogas in the shop, and that was actually the first banjo that, no, not the first. It was just a revolutionary new instrument, and it was not claiming better or anything. It's just different, but just high quality, but different. And so I went to the hotel room at night, and I got it out and I played it. And Uwe was there, and Uwe really said to me, Jens, this instrument, this will change everything because nothing like that has ever been made. This is spectacularly different. And that's what happened, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Bela Fleck took it to his trip to Africa, right? Throw Down Your Heart. Tony Trischka started playing it. So the toning became sort of a thing, people wanted to have as an additional banjo. It's like having a D18 and a D28. It's a different thing. It's like having a Telecaster, Stratocaster, or, jazz guitar and, acoustic guitar and, an archtop guitar. And
It's such a journey because you mentioned Oki Adams.
Yeah.
He was a real colorful character. And
he was.
I
My
took a lot
goodness.
of lead from him when we were first starting out.
Yeah.
And the tone ring that was on the Deering banjos until we started working together had at the top of the V on the tone ring had a very sharp radius.
Yes.
And that was something that Oki insisted that makes banjos sound the best that they can sound. And our banjos sounded good, but we weren't getting any professionals playing them.
Yeah.
And one of the things we learned, or I learned, after we started working with you and changed the design of the tone ring, and started learning about what was going to work on stage so the professionals could be playing them.
Yeah.
We moved away from that sharp edge because the banjo would blend better with the other instruments in the band.
Yeah.
But the other side of the coin is, while that sharp edge tone ring didn't blend well on stage, playing by yourself in the living room and not performing just as an amateur, it would fill the room with pretty sweet banjo sounds. And so while we weren't building an instrument that people were playing, the professionals were grabbing a hold of, we were quietly selling more banjos than anybody else in the country, but they were all staying in the living room.
Yeah,
And those tone rings are easier to play than the ones that work good on stage.